So much harm comes from saying statements like men have needs. This video that is in this comment, you gotta have to go watch it. It is so powerful. It is so raw. And it is something that I know countless women can deeply connect with and understand and feel the pain of and empathize. And it's just a conversation that we need to have. So I can't stitch it because it's a stitched video, but definitely go and watch this video and then let's unpack it. So there is so much that we could unpack from this video. We could talk about empowered consent. We could talk about sexualization versus sexuality. We could talk about the pleasure gap. We could talk about being raised as a sexual object versus being raised to nurture your innate sexuality. We could talk about embodied sexual experiences. We could talk about how parents so epically fail their kids when it comes to talking about sex. Seriously, there's so many things that we could talk about from this one incredibly profound video. But the thing I want to focus on is this concept of taking space versus making space when it comes to sex, sexual health, and sexuality. Yes, this is a little bit of a longer video, but I promise you it is worth it and you're going to want to stay to the end because understanding taking space versus making space is a game-changing concept to explore, and I can guarantee that it is going to unlock something in you and it's going to give you insight that will fundamentally change your life. So let's dive in. Now, generally speaking, and as examples in this video show you, men have really been taught or conditioned, socialized their whole life to take space sexually and really everywhere. But we're specifically talking about sexual experiences right now. Men are raised to believe that they are somehow owed sexual pleasure and sex, and that it is their right to take whatever space is necessary to live out their desires. Again, that video, watch it, shares really, really on point examples of this. So while men are raised to take space, women are taught to make space for and cater to the sexual needs, wants, and desires of others. Essentially, we are told that our role is to make space for this to happen for other people. And if we fail to exist in this role, then basically we have no value and that no one's going to want to be with us and that it's our fault if they don't stay. So what do? We basically deny ourselves. We deny our bodies, our wants, our needs, and we just do whatever we can to make space for other people to experience pleasure. Now, as I think about this, I don't actually really think that the language of saying deny is accurate, because to say that we deny something is to imply that we were given permission in the first place to even know ourselves and know our bodies and our wants and our needs, and that we were even given a chance to take space for ourselves and then chose to deny it. But that's actually not true, because we're not given that freedom. We're not given that opportunity to even nurture our innate sexuality. Instead, we are raised to be sexual objects, and we learn real quick how to sexualize ourselves so that we can live out the desires of others, and how to not take any space to nurture our own innate sexuality. And this idea of what I'm talking about is basically comparing the difference between sexualization and sexuality. And I definitely recommend that you watch my previous video on that. So just to make it clear, I want to say this again, we as women are told in no uncertain terms to make space for someone else's sexual pleasure. And we're reminded that we hold no value because our role is to exist as a sexual object for the pleasure of someone else. And I want to clarify, this is not just happening with situations like the video that I was linked in the description. This is happening pretty much to some degree everywhere. Now, in my life, I haven't had the same experiences that this other TikToker shared, but I have experienced making space while someone else is only taking space. And so sometimes this concept is super overt and in your face, and it's so clear that something's wrong. And other times it is subtle and crafty, and you're not really like, you know, something's not right, but you can't completely put your finger on it, but it is still so incredibly harmful. So to recap, men are taught to take space in basically any way that is necessary so that they can experience sexual pleasure. And women are taught to make space for others to experience sexual pleasure. And when I think about this, you know, one of the worst, most harmful aspects of this reality is that we as women, not just women, all of us, we are gaslit to believe that this is simply how people biologically are, that men have no control and that it doesn't even matter because women aren't actually sexual, and that it's men are like, you know, beyond comprehension sexual beings, and that this is just how it is. But that is an absolute lie, a total lie. Men are not innately more sexual. Men do not need sex to live. Sex is not like food or water or air. You will not die if you do not have sex. Men are not owed sexual pleasure from you. And perpetuating this social dynamic is so harmful and dangerous. And if we think about it, at best what's happening is that the person who is making space is just going through the motions and maybe having like blah sexual experiences. But at worst, the person who is taking space is committing sexual violence and sexual assault. The damage is, it's hard to even comprehend how damaging this perpetuating this idea that men have needs and that they are just supposed to take whatever space they need to have their sexual fill is demoralizing and damaging beyond like comprehension. So I know this is a bit of a depressing video, but it's real and it's a conversation that we need to have. It's a conversation, and I can't like applaud this TikToker enough for sharing what has happened in their life, because looking through the comments, oh my goodness, so many people resonate with what has happened in their experience. So yes, a little depressing, but absolutely necessary. And I also want to leave you with some hope. So if you have been playing this role of making space and living as a sexual object, you absolutely can start taking space. You can reclaim your sexuality. You can redefine your sexual framework so that it centers you. You can work on building a deep sexual connection with yourself and live out embodied experiences. I am here to help you on this journey. You are not alone. You are not alone at all. And I just encourage you to start taking space so that you can live with more connection and pleasure in your life.